I am making a Primite Blue Eyes deck profile since I now have everything I need for Primite. The only thing I might still need to get is the Primite Fusion monster. I don't know if I'll actually use this deck, but I would like to have at least have it as an option. So starting off with the monsters, I play one copy of Priestess with Eyes of Blue. Priestess has the effect in which she's targeted by a card effect, and your opponent doesn't activate anything in response. Then you activate her effect, sending a monster you control to the graveyard for cost. Which I found out she can send herself, and you'll still get the standoff of Mausoleum. But Priestess will then let you add 2 different Blue Eyes monsters from your, or up to 2 from your deck to your hand. Next, I play 3 copies of Maiden of White. Maiden of White has the effect that you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, to then be able to take a True Light from your deck and place it face up in your spell and trap zone. If you special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, while this card's in your hand or graveyard, you can special summon this card. And then lastly, if Maiden of White is targeted by a card effect or for an attack, you can then special summon one level 1 Light Tuner or Blue Eyes White Dragon from your graveyard or hand. I believe it was hand or graveyard. Let's see. First on a Blue Eyes White Dragon or okay, no, it specifically summons from graveyard. I've only ever summoned from the graveyard, so I didn't actually know if it was hand or graveyard. Next, I play 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. Sage with Eyes of Blue is probably one of the best, if not the best, normal summon of the deck, as far as the Blue Eyes part goes. Where when it's normal summon, you can add a level 1 light tuner from your deck to your hand. And which, fun fact, that effect of Sage is not once per turn. The once per turn effect of Sage is its other effect, which lets you target an effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck. Which you can actually normal this Sage, discard Sage targeting it. This will activate, bring back your Sage, and then Sage will summon Blue Eyes. But there are other things you can do instead of that. And then next, to finish off the level 1 Light Tuners, which I believe there are 10 of them in this deck. I also play 3 copies of Kaiba Man the Legend. Kaiba Man the Legend has the effect that this card is normal, special summon. You can show 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons from your hand, field, deck, or graveyard. To then, or I believe it lets you show from hand, deck, face up, field, or graveyard. To then special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And if you special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon while this card is in your graveyard, except during damage step, you can banish this card to add a Blue Eyes monster from your deck to your hand. So I also do like that you can actually use this card to just be able to search for another, as another way of searching for Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. One thing I do want to do with this deck is just add at least 1 copy of 1-for-1, just because that's usually the way I summon Kaiba Man the Legend. I do really wish that Kaiba Man the Legend was a spellcaster, because then he'd work in the deck so much better. However, since he is a warrior, I kind of do also want to play 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army, just to search for him. But if you also don't want to play Kaiba Man the Legend, you can just take this card out for 3 copies of something like Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. Next, I play 3 copies of Primite Dragon Ether Barrel. Ether Barrel has the effect that when it's summoned, you can set a Primite spell or trap from your deck. You only use that effect once per, or each of its effects once per turn. And its other effect is during your standby phase. If you control a Primite or a level 5 or higher normal monster, then you can return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, during your standby phase, you have a normal monster on your field or in graveyard, you return it to your hand. And it also has the effect that you contribute it to then send a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then next I play 1 copy of Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. This card has the effect that was in your hand or graveyard, and a card on the field was destroyed. You can special summon this card from your hand. And then, if this card battles, then you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. And then while this card is in play, your other cards cannot be destroyed by card effects. However, in order to use any of those effects, specifically the first 2, you do have to have a Blue Eyes White Dragon either on your field or in your graveyard. Which, luckily, I play 4 of those, with the 1 copy of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon cannot be normal summon or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by revealing a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Its name becomes Blue Eyes White Dragon while it's on the field or a graveyard. And then once per turn you activate its effect, target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it. But if you use that effect, then Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon cannot attack that turn. Or, well, it can't. I shouldn't say Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon because its name becomes Blue Eyes White Dragon while it's on the field. Next, I play 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon, which turns out is, in fact, a Blue Eyes card. If you know, you know. Anyway, Blue Eyes White Dragon, just in here because it kind of has to be. It's really hard to play a Blue Eyes deck without Blue Eyes White Dragon. So, lastly, for the Blue Eyes monsters, I play 1 copy of Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. Chaos Max is mostly in here so you can play a Dragon Master Magia. But I do summon it every once in a while, where it just has the effect it can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. If it attacks the monster in defense position, it does double piercing damage. That's pretty much it. And then, as an honorary Blue Eyes card, I do play 3 copies of Effect Veiler, just because it is highly searchable in the deck for being a level 1 Light Tuner. Effect Veiler lets you, during your opponent's main phase, that's its only downside, it has to be opponent's main phase. But it lets you discard it to then target 1 monster your opponent controls, negates effects till the end of the turn. I love this card because it was before once per turns. So, if you have multiples in your hand, you can use all of them. I've actually enjoyed using this when Dinosaur was in the meta. Just because it'd be like, normal summon over Raptor. Raptor effect. Great. Effect Veiler target Raptor. Chain Miscellaneous. Okay, great. Chain Effect Veiler. And it was beautiful. Even though I was doing that with Numeron at the time. Next, I play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. This is mainly in here just to negate Molcharmies. However, I did find out that it does negate the activation. And since the Molcharmies say you can only activate 2 per turn, if you Ash a Molcharmy, that then just goes, okay, I could just use another. Which, one game my opponent actually did open 3 Molcharmies and made me sad. The Ash Blossom just lets you discard it to then negate anything that adds a card from deck to hand, summons from deck, or sends from deck to grave. Moving on to the spells, I play 1 copy of Mausoleum of White. Mausoleum of White just gives you additional normal summon of a level 1... What was it? Level 1 Light Tuner? Yeah, it gives you additional normal summon for a level 1 Light Tuner. Then once per turn, you can target 1 monster you control, send a normal monster from your deck to graveyard, to then increase that monster's attack by that monster's level times 100. Then it does have a grave effect, but if you're playing Burst of Destruction, then why are you playing Blue Eyes? The card honestly is a bad card. Next, I play 2 copies of Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons just lets you special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck, graveyard, or banish. I think it's hand 2. Nope, just graveyard, deck, or banish. But if you don't control Blue Eyes White Dragon, then you have to special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. And then this card also has the effect in the graveyard that you can banish it to be able to fusion summon. However, you can only use one of those 2 effects once per turn. So if you use the effect to summon, you can't fuse. And if you fuse, you can't use the effect to summon. Then next, I play 2 copies of Ultimate Fusion. Ultimate Fusion lets you fusion summon a monster that acquires a Blue Eyes White Dragon or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon as material by returning its materials from your hand, field, or graveyard back into the deck. And then, furthermore, after you fusion summon, it lets you destroy cards your opponent controls for each monster on your field that you've used to fusion summon the monster. But that destruction part hardly ever comes up, so... And lastly, for the 2-ofs, I play 2 copies of Primite Drill Beam. I did some testing with this card at 3, and 3 is way too bricky, and I don't like it at 1. So 2, to me at least, is the perfect number. But Drill Beam has the effect that you can reveal a Primite card or normal monster that's in your hand, except for another Drill Beam. Or if you control a level 5 or higher normal monster, cough, cough, Blue Eyes White Dragon, cough, then you don't have to reveal for its effect. But you then target a card your opponent controls and negates effects. And then, if you control a Primite monster, you can then set this card from your graveyard. And I believe you can only use each effect of Drill Beam once per turn. If you negate its effects, you negate the target card's effects and banish it. Yeah, if you control a Primite, you can set it from your graveyard. Which is great, because Ether Barrel, if you have a Blue Eyes in your grave, which you should, returns itself to your hand during your standby phase. Next, I play 3 copies of Wishes for Eyes of Blue. Wishes lets you discard a card to then add a level 1 Light Tuner and a spell or trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand. And then while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it, target a Blue Eyes White Dragon you control, and equip it with a Blue Eyes Fusion monster from your extra deck. It's treated as an equip spell that increases its attack by however much. Usually doesn't matter. You'll use each effect of Wishes for Eyes of Blue once per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Primite Lordly Load. Lordly Load has the effect that when it's activated, you can add a Primite card from your deck to your hand. And then, it's usually you activate this, add Ether Barrel, normal Ether Barrel, barrel sets Drill Beam. Then you can link off Ether Barrel for the Link monster, which then gets you started on doing your Blue Eyes shenanigans. But Lordly Load also has the effect that once per turn you can declare the name of a normal monster, and then special summon that monster from your deck. But if you use that effect, you cannot activate the effects of your special summoned monsters. So usually I'll do that when it's the last thing, or I don't need to activate the effect of a fusion monster. Oh no, you can't use the effect of special summoned monsters for the turn, I believe it was. And then next I play 1 copy of Majesty of the White Dragons for the traps. This card lets you reveal up to 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons from your hand, field, or graveyard, to destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. Which, I am kind of sad that it is up to 3. Because when this card was first revealed, my first thought was, I'm playing 3 alternative and 3 Blue Eyes, so I can pop up to 6 cards with it. Then I saw the 3 and was like, well, I'm sad. But Majesty of the White Dragons also has the graveyard effect of being able to... You can banish it to ritual summon a Blue Eyes ritual monster from your hand. And then... because I am playing Chaos Max, I kind of want to play multiple copies of this, like have it as a 2 of. So at the moment there's like 3 cards I want to try to work into the deck. Next, I play 2 copies of True Light, just because between Regenesis Dragon and Cosmic Cyclone, this card usually gets banished, and I am very sad as a result. So I'm currently messing around with 2 copies of True Light. True Light has the effect that once per turn, you can activate 1 of 2 effects, where you can special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon that's in your hand or graveyard, or you can set a spell or trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck, that has a different name from the spells and traps currently on your field and in your graveyard. And then lastly, I play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. This card lets you target and affect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects for the turn. And then if this card was set when you activated it, it also negates all spells and traps in its column for the turn. But you can also activate it from your hand if you control no monster, if you have no cards. And that is it for the main deck. It's either 42 or 43 cards, if I remember correctly. Moving on to the extra deck. For the extra deck, I play 2 copies of Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Spirit with Eyes of Blue has the effect that when it's link summoned, you can add Mausoleum of White from your deck to your hand. While you control it, you cannot special summon monsters except for dragon monsters. And then it also has the effect that you contribute it to then target a blue eyes white dragon that's in your graveyard and special summon that monster. And I believe you can only use each effect of Dragon Spirit of White. Or was it? No, it's Spirit with Eyes of Blue. You can only use each of its effects once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. This card has to be in the extra monster zone to use its effect during your opponent's main phase, or during your opponent's turn. But it has the effect that you contribute 1 monster from your hand or field to then be able to return a monster your opponent controls back to the hand. And if it is tributed, you can then special summon a dragon monster from your deck, but its attack and defense becomes 0. Honestly, I usually don't ever make this, but I do like having it as an option. Same thing with Indigo Eye Silver Dragon. I hardly ever make it, but I do like having it as an option. Indigo Eyes has the effect that when it's Xyz summoned, it negates the effects of all other face-up cards on the field. I believe it's on the field. It might just be all face-up cards your opponent controls. Let's see. It's correct. Xyz summon negates the effects of all face-up cards. Okay, it negates all face-up cards your opponent controls. It cannot attack directly unless it has a normal monster's material. And then once per turn, you can detach a material, special summon a normal monster from your graveyard against 1,000 attack. Like I said, I hardly ever make this card, but I do enjoy having it as an option. Next, I play 2 copies of Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. Blue Eye Spirit Dragon has the effect that while it's in play, neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time, which unfortunately Nibiru does not summon at the same time. It tributes everything, summons itself, and then summons a token. And then it also has the effect that if your opponent activates a card or effect in the graveyard, you can negate it. And then it also has the final effect. If this synchro summon, or if you contribute this synchro summon card to special summon a light dragon synchro monster from your extra deck. However, it is destroyed during the end phase of that turn. Then my deck technically has 4 targets for it, but you only ever really summon 3 of them to keep on the field. Which I'll go for the 3 you want to keep on field, which is Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, Stardust Seafret Vine Dragon, and Cosmic Blazar Dragon. I'm honestly thinking about taking this out of the deck for either Thunder End Dragon, just be funny, or Blue Eyes Alternative White Ultimate Dragon. Not Alternative Ultimate Dragon. Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. That's what it is. Just because really I only ever summon these 2. But this one is an Omni Negate that can then destroy 1 card in your opponent's field. And it also makes it so that the first time each of your cards will be destroyed by battle or card effect and not destroyed. And I believe it also floats when it's destroyed. No, you can banish it to the target level 8 or lower Stardust monster and special summon it, so it has no effect in this deck. When it's destroyed, or not destroyed in the graveyard. Ultimate Spirit Dragon is an on-field Omni Negate that then increases its attack by 1,000 until the end of the turn. And if this card is destroyed, you can then special summon a light dragon monster from your graveyard. Cosmic Blazar Dragon in this deck is just an Omni Negate, I believe. Let's see. Okay, so it has the quick effect of being when it is banished. You can banish until the end phase to activate one of 3 effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect, negate the effect if you destroy that card. Negate a summon, or you can negate an attack and end the battle phase. Honestly, I really like having the other two more than I do Cosmic Blazar Dragon. But again, I do like having it as an option, even though I kind of want to take it out for Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. And then I summon these usually with the 1 copy of Crimson Dragon. Crimson Dragon has the effect that if this card is special summoned, you can add a spell or trap in your deck to your hand that mentions Crimson Dragon. This deck doesn't have that, so you can just forget about it. It has the once per turn effect, you can target a monster on your field. So then, a synchro monster on your field, summon another synchro monster from your extra deck with the same level. So usually I'll summon Starseed for Divine Dragon with the first Spirit Dragon, then use a second Spirit Dragon to summon Crimson Dragon. And then Crimson Dragon will put itself back in the extra deck to summon that monster. Which honestly, what I actually do enjoy doing more is this one, summon this, then summon this one, because then this isn't destroyed by the Spirit Dragon. Anyway, for the fusions, I play 2 copies of Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon has the effect it has to be fusion summoned by using a Blue Eyes in any dragon, or you can fusion summon it, or special summon it, treat it as a fusion summon, I believe, by attributing a Blue Eyes White Dragon equipped with a fusion monster. It's unaffected by traps. It can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, and at the end of the damage step, if this card battled once per turn, you can set a trap card from your graveyard. And I do like it as a 2 of. 3 is probably too much, but I do like it as a 3 of. Then I play 1 copy of Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Again, it's just to play Dragon Master Magia. If I weren't playing Magia, then I'd probably replace this with Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and replace Magia itself with a 3rd copy of Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Then I play 1 copy of Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon. Honestly, I hardly ever summon this, but again, I do like having it as the option, as you can use a Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon in your graveyard to make this with Ultimate Fusion in order to get the full effect of it, but it cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. And if you use a Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon to summon it, then it gets to target up to 3 cards your opponent controls, destroy them, however it cannot attack that turn. But if you don't use Alternative Dragon to summon it, then it can only target 1 card. And then lastly, I do play the Dragon Master Magia. Dragon Master Magia has the effect that it is actually a Tri-Negate, where once per turn, it can negate a spell card, a monster card, and a trap card. And it can negate 1 of each turn. And then if it on the field is destroyed, then you can special summon a Blue Eyes or Black Lotus or Soldier monster from your deck or extra deck. Which usually, if it's destroyed, I'll summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Or the Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon if I haven't summoned it yet. And that is it for my Blue Eyes Primite deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any idea extra decks like to be made in the future, one of my friends is working on Primite Dark Magician or Dark Magician Draco Tail. Don't know which one he's going to do, but I know it's one of those. And then I also have a friend who's making a Red Eyes deck, so I can try testing against one of those. But like I said, if you have any ideas for decks like to see face each other, decks you like to, or any way to improve it, or decks like to see made in the future, comment down below. I always read the comments. Thank you for watching if you're still here.